All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and get started. If you have any questions, please just go ahead and unmute and let me know. So, once you log in, where are we? I'm going to use a listing that I have. It's located in Marlton as an example. If you have any questions on it, you know, by all means, shoot them out there. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep on going. So to find out that listing, if you're familiar with Paragon, you know you can have multiple tabs open. With Bright, you can't. It's very one-track mind. So I always like to pull my own listing so that I can use it as a reference. So first I'll go to search, and then public records. And then street name, I'm typing in Hanover. Now with Bright, there's a ton of different searches you can put. You can modify it so it always uses particular states. If you're only New Jersey, or if you want to open it up, they're also in Pennsylvania, Delaware, a couple others. But this one has no filter, so I'm going to type in New Jersey just to help narrow down my search. It's 14 matches. Click on the one in Marlton, which is the one I'm looking for. And then this is the listing. So for the CMA, it's nice to have a picture of the home. Now I'm lucky here, it's been in the MLS. There is a nice front photo that I can pull from. Some of the times there isn't, it's just that public record page. If that's the case, you can Google Maps and try and get a screenshot of a photo that you want to use for your CMA, or even just drive by the house and take one with your phone. But it is nice to have that extra touch. If you find yourself with a loss of time, or it's just too far away to get that picture, then come up with a cute logo, and I'll show you more about what I'm talking about in a minute. So in this one, I'm going to choose this, save image as, and then it'll bring it down here onto your screen. We'll use that later. I also want to take a copy of this. So I will print my PDF. I use Agent 360 because it has all the information that I'm going to need. If you just need a summary, you can change it to one line, sketches, client 360, so on and so forth. But Agent 360 works for me. Scroll down, print to PDF. It generates. Sometimes it can take a minute. I went ahead and already did this. This is what it looks like when it's done. So I have 7 pages here. Now, if I'm going on a listing appointment, I like to print and bring this. It's just a little bit more information to have. It includes last listing. It includes the map of the neighborhood. It includes the public record, the name that's on it, the subdivision, years, tax years, all the information that you could possibly need to get your CMA. But also, again, if you're using this for a listing appointment, which you most likely are. It's nice that it has the loan information, anything that's been on public record, because it helps you, know if there might be a lien against the home. I also like it because of the last name scenario. This is a perfect example. This is a husband and wife. The public record's only his name because it's a VA loan and they weren't married when you purchased it. But it's good to know walking in what the public record says in case there's somebody else on there. So when you do your listing paperwork, you have your ducks in a row. Is anybody else's name on the deed? Sometimes there's family involved, sometimes divorces. So public record could show a ton of things, but it gives you that nice entryway to show that you've done your research for your listing, to know who you're up against, and obviously that, what information and who are the signers to make the decisions on selling. It shows the last listing, the description, the markup, the photos from when they purchased the home. Gives you a nice, again, insight if you're doing this for listing purposes, so that you can see if they've made any changes since they last purchased and when they purchased, for how much money. Since money rules the roost normally, people want to make a profit, and it really just helps up the grand tone for as much as you know going into it. So once this is saved, once you have your front photo, we're going to go back to results. See if there's anything else you want to document or take notes on before we leave this screen. The public records has public records, tax history, sale and mortgage. If it's in a flood zone, definitely a good thing to know, especially if it's on a lake. And again, this is for a listing. Last listing information, property history, and the map itself. Gives you, if it's a unique lot, all the measurements and everything that goes with it. Some people like to print more information out. You saw what I pulled, but you pull anything you want for this. Now, for the CMA, we're going to go into search, residential sale. I'm going to do 1 mile. I know this area well. I know there's a lot of homes in this area. If you're looking for a CMA, maybe out more Chemung area or Gloucester County, some parts where there's a little bit more land, you can broaden that. I'm doing 1 mile because I know that this is a tighter community and there's going to be enough homes within this area. Within miles of, I'm going to put in the address, and eventually once it pulls it, it will populate. So for Hanover Road, Marlton. There it is. Marlton is a town that happens to go by 2 names. It could be Evesham or Marlton. That's the one I want. So I'm clicking that. This turns red because my map area has been selected. I do know that it's not going to run into any other towns with this close proximity, but you don't always know that going in. So it's nice to either specify a postal city or a zip code so that when you're running your comps, you don't find out a nearby town that really would change appraisal purposes and resale value. So I'm putting in the zip code just so that we know exactly what town we're looking for. It automatically goes to coming soons and active. Bright MLS is big on coming soons, a lot more than the local Paragon is. So I like to do this for 2 reasons. I'm going to keep that active, my active. I'm going to click active under contract, my pendings, and my closed. Since we've had such a large change in the market, it defaults to 180 days. I'm going to change it to 100 because the last 100's been a little bit more telling than really the last 6 months. If your market hasn't changed in a while, by all means, go back for the past 6 months, but ours has. So I'm going to narrow it down a little bit closer. The last thing we want is to walk in with numbers before the market really started to drop and level out. We don't want to come in showing, crazy numbers. It upsets people. All right, get some more people in here. Hey, Steph. All right, so we're gonna go back. So we have our closed, pending, active under contract, active, and coming soon. Now, this home is a 4-bedroom, but the 4th bedroom is very tiny. So I'm gonna put in here 3 to 4 bedrooms for my comps. And for bathrooms, I'm going to put 2 to 3 because not all of these models in this neighborhood have, the same layout. I'm going to click detached. Obviously, you can go a little bit more specific on the bedroom, bathroom. You can do exactly what the home has. I tend to find that limits it too much. I'd like to make it a little bit broader. If you find your results and there's only, let's say 4 results, sure, open it up. Or if there's 100 results, narrow it down. Right now I'm at 32 matches and I still have more important information to add. So I'm feeling good about my criteria so far. But every home and neighborhood's different. You really just want to make it so that the matches are relevant, but that they're not so relevant that there's not enough of them. So this one does not have a basement. So I'm putting in no basement. It does have a garage. But this neighborhood has a lot of 1s and 2s, so I'm just not going to specify anything for now because it also has some that have been finished and so forth. Above grade finished square foot. This home, if you remember from our public record, where did they say it? Was 1818. So I'm going to put in here. I'm going to go down to 1,500 square foot because a lot of the models, this neighborhood it's in a changing period where a lot of the original owners are selling their homes and a new generation's coming in. I, again, happen to know a lot about this neighborhood, but by all means, make it as specific as you want. And then once you get your results, you can always widen it up. So on the 1,500 renovated homes, the floor plan can feel a little bit larger, so which is why I'm going down to 1,500. 1,500 up to 2020, because again, I like to make it just a little bit of a range for my 1,800 square foot. All right, no pool, that's a big one as well, with and without a pool. It's not in a senior community. There's a ton of other things. If you want to put an auction, bankruptcy, standard short sale, property conditions, the whole 9, you definitely can do so. But for this one, I'm at 15 matches. I feel good about how many I have. So that's what I'm going to keep for now. And I still can't hear any of you, so I'm glad that you can hear me. But if you have a question, put it in the waiting room because apparently I can't get your volume. But the waiting room is populating. Okay, so we have our 15 matches. Click on results. This is everything that's populated. I like to do it by price because if I know the home is a little more run down, or if they tell me it needs upgrades, or I, see that they want to sell it as is, then it's probably going to be on the lower spectrum. Of course, you also want to know the higher spectrum because everybody has a different version of what rundown and needing upgrades means. And it's really just good to know the full spectrum, but filtering by price, to me, is how I like to see it. If you click in MLS, any of these, it'll filter by whatever it is that you want to click by. If you ever find yourself going between columns, it's going to make this little shape here. That shape is if you want to insert or remove columns, because there's a ton of options and information that you can remove and add into. This one, you can move your columns around, is what this little square arrow thing looks like. But otherwise, for sorting, you just click right on it. And I'm going to go by price and put my more expensives, because wouldn't it be nice if all listings were the most expensive, beautiful, renovated homes we could find? So reason I'm pulling my actives, my pendings in this step is because I like to know all information. I want to go in there. I don't want to be surprised with, oh, did you see there's 4 other homes in our neighborhood? Or, there's nothing's been for sale for years. This is the first house. People are going to have more information on their home. So it's nice to be able to, know as much as you can walking in. Now for the comps, of course, we're not going to use the actives, pendings, anything under contract, but it is just for your own knowledge good. If we're again talking in the sense of listings, I like to print the most comparable ones, because then you can print the full listing. So if you click on it, you can print the full listing like we had gone through before on how to do that. And it shows, all the photos that are in there, and it really helps you show people like, okay, here's the homes that are for sale in your area. This is what they're going for. And I like to use that talk so that it helps gauge the price. It makes the seller a little bit more realistic about what they're going to set their own home for. Some people think their home's worth a lot less than it really is, and others, think it's worth the moon and stars. So when you bring in the other pendings, the other active, the other recently sold in a full printout form, it helps show not only that you've done your research and you know the area, but it helps set a realistic tone for the seller of like, do you really think yours is worth $409, seeing what they have versus what you have? Of course, you say that sensitively, but that's why I like to look at the pendings and the actives, because it does just help me with the market. Again, not direct comps, because there wouldn't be enough. There's no real direct comps other than this one, and even this one being a 4-bed, 2.5 bath, like the home we're looking for, is not direct. It's a little bit larger. It has a 2-car garage, and its renovations are different. It's got a different size yard. It's not being sold as is, which this particular home on 4 Hanover is. So there's a lot of variables, as we all know, that go into it. Okay, so for the CMA part, we're going to click pretty much all of these. We narrowed it down enough that we know our vicinity. Oh, before I do that for you, I'm going to take you to maps. So you can change your criteria at any point. If you think you have too many results, not enough results, you're pulling stuff that really isn't relevant, you can go back and change your criteria. If there's a ton of them and you want more per page, you can change that or knock it down to only 10. Its default is 25. Map. So again, I'm familiar with this area, but let's say you're not. Let's say, being on the other side of Route 70 here is a real big game changer, or being near this park makes a huge difference. So you don't want any of those in there. Or if you have to be on this side of the neighborhood, not that, or whatever, you can help go in here and you can see this radius, and then you can always go through and draw like a different version to narrow down what you're looking for. In my criteria, I did a mile around the red dot, which is the home we're referencing. but you can change it to whatever you want to change it. Okay, results. So we're going to click on our closed. I'm pulling all closed for this scenario because 388 to 335, as you can see, we did list it for 350. We ended up getting 360, but the goal was to price it right. The home needed a bit of work. It's being sold as is. So we pull all of our closed. You can click print if you want to print them. You can click CMA if you want to pull your comp. You can create a new contact. I always like to keep myself in here since I am making these normally for listings, but you can put in the person directly if this is all remote, and you can email it over to them if you don't have time to do it before, but you want to follow up and say, here's more information, or I will email you a full CMA after our first meeting. Whatever the scenario, you can create a new contact, you put the people in, and then they'll enter here. For the description, I'm putting 4 Hanover Road, which is the address, and CMA. So again, it's just for my own knowledge. Okay, all these tabs up here before we get to finish. So there's pages that we want added. You click the little options. You can do a cover sheet with the border I like. You can do price adjustments, summary of comparable properties, and subject. I do just this one. One day I do definitely suggest you go through and click at all the options. There's a ton of material. If it's too long, I find it to be a bit overwhelming and people don't really look at it. It gets a bit repetitive because there's just different ways to look at the same information. I like summary of comparable properties, but you do you. Under the comparables option, I like an overview, days on market chart, the pro report, list price and closed price chart, the CMA brief, that's good. Price analysis. Under additional pages, I like activity versus timing, and effects of overpricing. I only click this if I've already gotten the feel that this particular seller really wants more than I think it's worth. Just as kind of like a subtle hint. It gives a little extra reading material. Benefits of using a realtor is a good one. Market analysis explanation is a good one. Importance of pricing I like. Pitfalls of overpricing, setting the price again. You know, I think they're pretty specific to the people. I don't always just put them in there. Where commission goes, again, if you think it's going to be a problem, that's a good one to put in there. Steps to a positive showing and what it takes to show. It's a nice way to gloss over, you know, really what staging the home is. I like to help walk people through the whole process. You know, what you should do between taking the listing and me coming back for photos. I like to come back before photos, help you take the last minute items off the countertop, stuff like that. And this kind of helps prep them that it's nothing personal. Everybody has soap and sponges by their sink, but let's just take it down for this picture. Let's declutter, let's clear the refrigerator. And all these are just kind of nice little like tips to help pick up your home. And then I toss in a CMA map, so I like that as well. When you go through, and you can always come back to this page, you can highlight something, get rid of it. If you want to start with the CMA map, you can use your arrows, move it up on your CMA page. But I like that order, so I'm fine with it. Now we pulled our public record for a reason earlier so that we can reference it. So I like to copy my tax ID, put it in here and say autofill. And what that just did is it pulls all the public record information so that the address is in there, the map's in there, all the stuff for the cover page. And then there is the cover page itself. So I downloaded that picture before of the home. So we're gonna put that in wherever it went. There it is. So we'll put that in here just so it looks nice. An address for me, we'll put in the Northfield office. Put in my phone number. Agent information. You can put your own picture over here if you want to do that. I think it'll ask me again later. Comparables. So we had already clicked just the closed properties. Those are the ones that it gave the option for. If you decide you still want to limit it more, you can. I'm happy with all of them, so I'm just going to go ahead and click all of them. map. Shows you again where they are on the map, gives you a list of all the homes that are on there. Adjustments. I don't normally mess with this. I feel like public record information is fine, status fine. I don't see any problems with this. It does break down the subdivision name. You'll find people who really care about the neighborhood names, so I like that in there. Seller concession amount for the closed options. And finish. So we're going to click View CMA. Takes a minute to generate. And here it is. So this little beauty, if you need more talking points, like I said, I bring individual MLS sheets. I don't normally go through the full CMA with people because I do the MLS sheets. Everybody does their listings differently. This is just nice to have to either email or leave with them, or use as the main source to do your listing appointments, because it really can be informative. Oh, I put in, obviously, I did that wrong. Remember before, well, we can change it later, but I put in the address where my information's down here. I should have put in 4 Hanover Road, but it says this is the property, 4 Hanover Road, prepared by Jeanette Vennell, prepared for, and then you put in the seller's name, but I just left it default to my own. When you put in the border, it does add in your own little picture, and it adds in your own information. So if they start ripping papers off here or there, they give them to their neighbors to say how great, oh look, and you have my little business card up the top. So this is the summary of comparable properties that we used earlier. It says all the addresses, all the information about the properties. You remember we had a range for all beds, baths, and square foot, price per square foot. This is, again, a really nice way just to show here's all your averages, the average the home sold for, the closed price from the list price, concessions, not as much, but whatever. Beds, baths, square foot, and price per square foot. Medians, just all good information to have. Then this is that analysis summary again. I like this in there. I think everybody reads differently. Some people are chart people. Some people like to read it like a story. It's all the same. Especially if you don't really know the area that well. Any thoughts that they might have that, maybe this town, but you don't know that town. Once you bring all this information, that kind of helps wash over that, because they just feel like you're so prepared for their particular area. So this is days on market. And if they say, oh, here's an average, oh, why such a spike? Then you can go to those particular homes and say, look, they overpriced, or there was a tenant, or whatever the scenario may be. You can always pull back information if you need to, especially if, like me, you print specific properties in advance. You can really pull out and cross-reference those MLS properties. So then here's the Pro report. It's kind of, again, like a little mini summary of the MLS sheet. Goes down by property, 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 property. Nice little chart again. I like these little charts. To me, they just look fancy. The information, a lot of it is repeat. But overall, we're only at 23 pages, and I don't know, I feel like a little bit more thickness to your leave behind looks better, even if they don't read it all. Property summary again. List and close price graph. It's nice. It kind of helps show that jump there. And then more and more activity versus timing, days on market. So this is all of them. Why you wanted a realtor, that's this page. Help sell us. Importance of pricing, on and on and on. All the stuff that we clicked is all in here. I like this map at the end too, because it really does help show, where they all in comparison, so that we can use it as a talking point. This one I will sometimes bump up to the front. I told you the rest I kind of keep where they are, but this is a good one. Why to use a realtor? Sometimes I bump that up, or almost put it at the last page for those who jump. So it's up to you how you want to put it all. That's it. And then you can download it, print it, save it, email it, whatever you want to do. But I do like them as a leave behind. It's just a little bit more information for those who like to analyze when you're not there. So any questions on any of this?